Osoyoos Town Council, Monday, August the 17th, 2015, 2 o'clock p.m. in Council Chambers. And before we start, I just want to say a few words about the fire situation that's happened in the South Okanagan over the last week. It's been a horrendous experience for many, many people. I'm happy to report that I just read that the people up in Kilpoola have the evacuation order has been lifted for them. They're now on evacuation alert, which means they have to be ready to go, but they're now home. We've seen wonderful and awful pictures on the news, on Oliver Daily News, on Osoyoos Daily News, on every newscast in the country, talking about our situation. And I just have to say that from what I've seen, people have worked so carefully, so expertly to deal with this situation. The RCMP, the fire department, the emergency social services, a lot of our town staff have gone out of their way to put in extra time and help people. I was kind of feeling like I was the fifth wheel because nobody sort of gave me a job. And I was talking to MLA Larson, and she said, you know, just realize that all of those people are being trained to do their jobs, and I just have to comment that they've all done a fantastic job. Our own Jeanette Van Vienen was in charge of the emergency social services up in Oliver and spent the weekend there, was on evacuation alert from her own house. I know that CAO Romanko and Director Davis were in at the Sonora Center, which was turned into a place for firemen from the forestry department to sleep overnight. I can't say I was amazed. I just had a smile on my face when I looked at everybody and how hard they worked and how well they worked together. And it's just a real sense of community. When that fire erupted locally here on Friday night, I was watching the music in the park, which wasn't in the park, fortunately, was in the Legion. And when I came out, I've never been in a war zone, but it felt to me like a war zone. I couldn't see across the lake. There was fire up, the Testalinda fire. There was smoke everywhere. It was pretty scary. Fortunately, the next morning, a lot of things had cleared. All kinds of people had jumped and helped and got bedding and food and water, and they just did a terrific job. So to all of them, I say thank you from the town. On Saturday morning, I went with Fire Chief Rick Jones in his truck up Highway 3 up to Kilpoola, just to have a look around, and that's 14 hours after the fire started. It was mostly out then. There were some hot spots and planes still flying around, dumping retardant, and people were not in their houses, but there were very competent people out on the roads preventing people from, visitors from traveling back and forth. And we had a good look at it, and I appreciated the fact that he took me up there to see what was happening. And the one thing that really struck me was that this is at 10 in the morning, and Fortis had already been up there and erected a new pole where the other one had burned right beside the highway across from Spotted Lake. They attached it so that people could have power and that the lines would not go down across the highway. Just working together to make this a fantastic community. I first heard about it on Friday night when a friend of mine who lives up in the Wilson-Patton area sent me a picture and said, we're in the middle of a fire. And I was horrified. Another friend of mine has a cabin up at Westbridge. he still hasn't been up there. He has no idea what it looks like yet, but he lives down here, so he's got a home. Mr. Cunningham lives up there. He was, our Director Cunningham, he was fortunate to have his property protected. And for that, we're incredibly grateful at the fact that the firemen and all of the people working on this have saved so many houses. We feel really badly about the 29 houses. I think there's 30 now that have been burned to the ground up in Rock Creek. And I was at a news conference yesterday when Premier Clark and Minister Thompson and MLA Larson were there. They had flown up from Vancouver, toured in a helicopter around the entire area, and gone over to Midway, spoken to the people over there, came back and spoke to the people at the emergency services at the Oliver Community Center, just showing their appreciation for a job well done. So from the town's point of view, we want to say, well done, thank you, we're glad we live here. This has been an amazing experience, and we're just glad that things have worked out as well as they have. So that's all I wanted to say, and I'd like to look at the adoption of minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes on July the 20th and the regular open minutes of July the 20th, and those would be adopted by consensus. Business arising from the minutes, I don't believe there is any. Introduction of late items.
Just the change to the agenda, the removal of item number 3.
All right.
Under business.
So the item number 3 in business, the business plan director's updates, that is going to be moved to our next meeting, which will be September the 7th. So that will just be postponed. And if there's nothing else, then we need to have the agenda adopted as amended. These two?
To the right.
The ones on my right. Campbell Roads, all in favor. Thank you very much. And next we have water matters. And to report the expenditures from accounts payable for water councillors and water approval to the amount of $46,409.34. And that would be Councillor Moreira, Councillor Ray, all in favor. Thank you. Next is the invitation to the OBWB AGM and 45th birthday. It is on September the 4th. It's in Penticton, sorry, Kelowna. Anybody who would like to attend is welcome to apply for it and go, and I have already accepted, so I will be there. If anybody else would like to go there, please see me about it. Next is the domestic water restriction irrigations on District 8 and 9. Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. At Council's June 2nd meeting, Council passed a motion to implement Stage 2 water water restrictions for twice-a-week watering in the Water Conservation and Staged Restrictions Bylaw. At the July 20th meeting, after discussing an administration report relating to water restrictions, Council passed the following motion: that administration was to bring a report to the August 17th meeting relating to implementation of domestic water restrictions in irrigation districts 8 and 9, and request that both water councillors be present for the discussion. Many comments have been received in the town office that the town residents are doing their share to conserve water, but domestic watering in irrigation districts 8 and 9 continue in a normal fashion. Public recommendations have been made that Council consider implementing similar domestic water restrictions. Drought conditions are viewed as valley-wide concern, therefore all residents need to participate in water conservation actions. Administration recognizes that in irrigation districts 8 and 9, links may exist between agricultural irrigation and domestic irrigation. Therefore, in some situations, implementation of domestic water restrictions may not be possible. The district also includes many residential/acreage properties, and implementation of domestic water restrictions are possible. In addition to the information that was provided, provided notification that a BC Level 4 drought has been announced for the Okanagan Basin, and a recommendation for actions for water purveyors. That's attached. Council may consider implementing domestic water restrictions in districts 8 and 9. Council has the authority under Bylaw 21 2008, Section 6 and Article 2, which I won't bother reading to Council because it's in front of you right now. So in terms of implications, the Okanagan Valley has been identified as a drought-impacted area. All citizens need to be aware of this situation and assist with water conservation. Organizationally, staff would need to spend additional time relating to advertising and responding to requests and bylaw enforcement that would be used in the districts. Budget, advertising, and bylaw fund allocation. Significant dates. No end date for water restrictions has been identified. And sustainability, water conservation is an important element to environmental sustainability. 5 options are presented for Council. 1, Council passes a motion implementing water restrictions in the districts similar to Level 2 restrictions in town. Option 2, Council identifies another level of water restrictions to be implemented in the districts. Option 3, Council passes a motion not to implement water restriction in the districts. 4, Council implements Level 3 water restrictions, once a week watering in the town. Option 5, Council implements Level 3 water restrictions, once a week watering in the town and the districts. In terms of a recommendation, Administration recommends implementing Level 2 domestic water restrictions for irrigation districts 8 and 9 effective immediately. Council approving water restriction for immediate implementation will send a strong message relating to the importance of the action. The Administration will need a minimum of 2 days to implement a system of public notice, and enforcement will continue on a system that provides for warnings prior to fines being issued. Implementing these restrictions in the districts will prove to be challenging. However, given the Level 4 drought action, the districts need to be consistent with the call to action by the provincial government. Bylaw enforcement hours will be spread into the district areas, which may require additional resources being allocated at some future date. No additional restrictions are recommended within the town boundaries.
Thank you very much, Mr. Romanko. And there are some other documents here. Water conservation urged as a final Okanagan area increases drought rating. The Level 4 drought rating in the Okanagan, just for information, is the highest drought rating there is. There isn't a Level 5, just goes to Level 4. It's also it's different than the water restrictions that we have in town. Those are bylaws. This is a thing put out by the provincial government. They haven't got a lot to go on because I think it was 2009, 2010. Mr. Zackla and I were both at a meeting up in Penticton or Kelowna the other day about the drought things. So it's something that they're kind of new at, and they're trying to have everybody look at it and really conserve water and talk about it and be as proactive as possible. So there certainly is some information on here on our agenda packages, and there's lots of information not only on our website, information on how to restrict, cut back on water usage, but on the OBWB, Okanagan Basin Water Board, and I would think it's probably on the RDOS website as well. So I think it's something that we do have to deal with, And definitely the Osoyoos Lake Drought Declaration is in effect as well right now, and that was the International Joint Commission has looked at that, and there was somebody speaking about that the other day as well. So I'm gonna open it up and let council have. Councillor Rhodes, you always have something to say about this. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Not sure what that means, but so I think I'll just jump right into it and make a motion based on implementing level 2 domestic water restrictions for irrigations District 8 and 9, and to be effective immediately.
I would second that motion.
Thank you, and that was seconded. Now, would anybody like to speak to it? And certainly water councillors can speak to this as well. Yes, Councillor Murr.
Oh,
Go ahead.
on level 4, you're speaking about, it didn't say to implement restrictions. It said voluntarily, we're asking you to restrict while we monitor.
And that's because it's very difficult to go around and give out fines to people who aren't. So that's really their way of dealing.
I'm talking about the government. They're
Yes.
asking water users
Yes.
not to back off a little bit if they can, which they can, but they're not implementing anything at this time. I have the letter here. I'm a water license holder.
Yes. The RDOS has sent out a letter to everybody as well. So Area A, all of the RDOS asking people to cut back by 30%. And they can't go around and measure. So you're quite right. It has to be how people deal with it and just being aware and trying to cut back. Anybody? They are? Good. So anybody else like to speak to it? Okay, so we have a motion on the table that that council passes a motion implementing water restriction in districts similar to level 2 restrictions in town, and this is for domestic water, right? Yes. Yeah. Do the water councillors have a vote in this as well? So there would be
Yes,
7 of
water
us?
councillors have a vote in this,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So if hearing nothing else, all in favor of doing this? Against? Thank you. So that passes.
Point of order, it doesn't pass.
Pardon me?
Order in council, talking about the government, we have to agree to it.
Mr. Romanko?
I really don't know.
Not a point of order. When that bylaw was written, water councillors weren't even invited to it. I don't understand what this council is trying to do. We were elected by these people, and we have a say anything to do with pump 8 and 9 and well 6. And we haven't been invited to any meetings, so I can't understand how you can pass a motion.
It was, I believe these restrictions were put in 2010 or 2011?
No, they weren't.
The bylaws?
1989.
No, these bylaws that we have the water
I'm
restrictions.
talking about an order in council.
Yeah,
Victoria.
we would have to check the order in council when it was set up. One would, I guess, we'll have to check the order in council, but the responsibility as a water purveyor was given to the town of Osoyoos.
Mm-hmm.
So if the town of Osoyoos is the water purveyor and it's operating under their bylaws, I don't know how 2 non-votes could restrict the overall supply of restrict the town of Osoyoos in the carrying out of its water purveyor responsibilities. Mm-hmm. But we can check the order in council, and if the order in council does say that the water councillors have the ability to veto the bylaw, then I guess the motion would not stand. However, if the order in council does not address the issue, then in fact we would, the motion would stand.
So at this point, what I'm assuming we would do, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the motion would stand until such time as after this meeting that you would, for us, on our behalf, check this motion, check the orders in council, and you would then come back and
That's right.
and ask us to have a look at it again, if that was the case.
And in fact, given the time of the meeting here, I can ask for an immediate review of the order in council, and it may be back before the end of the meeting.
Good, that'd be good.
All right,
Okay.
thank you very much.
I'll just give me a minute.
All right. And of course, we totally understand that this is a very volatile issue, and it affects a lot of people, but many people in the regional district and areas 8 and 9 are watering much more in their subdivisions than people in town. So we need to be just aware of this, and we need to make sure that we're doing it correctly. Absolutely, and we will. Okay. So we will leave that then, because that has passed. I'm sorry. Yes, Councillor Murrah.
That's fine. That's fine what you're saying. Where I'm coming from, when it comes to these 8, 9, and well 6, we have to be involved in it. That's what we were elected to, and and the water councilors haven't been invited to any meetings for the last 3 years. I mean, the last 3 councils.
And I don't know, because this was already in effect when I joined council, and so we will absolutely have a look at it and make sure.
I'm not talking just about this one. I'm talking about any matters to do with rural water. We have to be involved, and that's what we were elected to.
Absolutely, I agree.
Well, we haven't been for the last 9 years.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't comment on that, because I assumed, since I've been on council, that you have been involved in it. So,
we haven't.
Okay. Well, you know what, Councillor Murrah, we will certainly check on that, and we will obviously have to do the legislated correct thing to do. So we will look at it. Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Well, my question would be, you've been to every one of our council meetings. Why would this become an issue at this point?
Because I felt that this was very important, and this council crossed the line without not involving us.
Well, I have no memory of there ever being meetings, and first off, you not being invited. I mean, you know, in all fairness, let's call a spade a spade. You have equal opportunity in this forum to bring up these issues when they're pertinent, not after the fact.
No, when this council, previous councils had in-camera meetings, we were not invited. Only the last 3 councils, when this first started, all the other mayors and councils, we were invited.
If there would have been anything to do with water at the in-camera meetings, you would have been invited, is certainly my understanding.
Obviously not. I wasn't invited to this last one.
Which past one are you talking about?
Last in-camera meeting you had when you passed this bylaw. We weren't invited to it.
This bylaw was done in 2010, I believe, was it?
2008.
I'm talking about the one that.
All we did was pass the bylaw for the town of Osoyoos, and that bylaw was already there. We just enacted it, and this meeting is open. We haven't had a meeting concerning this prior to the meeting right now, so that's why we're all here together at this one.
You had the in-camera meeting prior to the past meeting.
But we did not talk about water.
I just want to clarify.
Yes.
What he's referring to is on June the 1st, the regular meeting referred from the Cal motion, moved by Rhodes and seconded by King, resolved that the council approve an acting stage 2 in the areas of 8 and 9. Isn't that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's, and then on July the 20th, there was further discussions about water restrictions in 8 and 9 on the 20th of July. So when I heard Councillor Moreira say, he wasn't in favor of restricting areas 8 and 9, and then our discussions more or less stopped because we were going to research whether or not the restriction could be implied.
And that's what this is.
Those weren't in camera.
This was not.
I'm not
this
saying
was
it
at a
was.
regular
That's,
meeting.
that's what Councilor Moreira is suggesting, that they were in camera and there was no one.
They're not.
They
They're
weren't.
right here.
July
Those
20th.
motions were done in, at a regular meeting in the public eye.
I
And,
see, yeah.
and
Right.
so
It was at a
you
regular
were at the 20th meeting where we asked Mr. Romanko to come back, and we asked to have both water councillors here at the time. This is the report he's come back with. There was nothing in camera. Mr. Romanko, do you have?
Well, basically in terms of reviewing, my review of the order in council, the individual councillors hold all the responsibilities of a councillor in water matters. There's no mention here relative to the enactment of any of the bylaw. The only expressed approval exemption is that when the water bylaw is being done, if there is not unanimous vote of all council members, that's when it then goes for inspector approval to the province. So the bylaw that we have now, that council is in fact enacting, is a bylaw that is under the jurisdiction of the council as a whole,
Yes.
which is the 7 members. And I would see a 5-2 vote as an approved resolution.
Okay. Thank you for looking at that. So I think we will carry forward on that, Mr. Councillor Moreira, and if something else comes up, we will absolutely have a look at it again. But it's kind of hard to do it in 10 minutes. So we will certainly check on that, and we will then get back to everybody. Okay? Is that all right? So where are we at? So we're missing out a part here, so I'm just going to go through that. And my thinking is the next business on the agenda is the general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial. Am I correct? No, sorry.
It's the June income statements from the Director of Finance.
Number 2 under business.
Sorry.
That's okay. So before council is the June income statements for the town of Osoyoos and Sun Bowl Arena. The income statements to June 30th are presented to council for further review and approval. The accounts to June 30th have been reviewed and are accurately reflected in the attached documents. The highlights to the town of Osoyoos income statements: general fund projected surplus as of June 30th is $105,400. Under taxes, real property levy, we're projected to be on budget. Taxes collected from other governments or for other governments projected to be on budget. Taxes collected from utilities projected to be on budget. Cemetery operations, currently a deficit of $7,060.86. This is projected to be on budget. Licenses, permits, and rentals, we got a projected surplus of $15,000. Under solid waste management, this is our landfill tipping and septage fees. They're $64,659.55 higher than 2014 at this time, and that's projected to be on budget. Development and building services is got a current deficit of $14,101.50, and that's projected to be on budget. Under returns on investments, we have a budget surplus at this time of $45,824.64, and we've got a projected surplus of $60,000 for the end of the year. Under donations, we got a budget surplus of $4,913.88 and a projected surplus of $5,000. Under land and equipment sales, planning on selling our used equipment that's no longer being utilized in the fall, and this is projected to be on budget. Under community service facility revenue, revenues are down by $6,821 from 2014 at this time and projected to be on budget. Under community services program revenue, revenues are up due to the $50,000 grant and aid from the RDOS for the Desert Park facility. This is for the phase 2 portion of the repairs, and this is projected to be on budget. Unconditional transfers from government, we've got a projected surplus of $25,400. This is from a transition of the old granting program from the province to the new. Under conditional transfers from government, this is projected to be on budget and it's tied to capital projects. Under borrowing and transfer from other funds, this is projected on budget and is also tied to our capital projects. Under general operating expenditures, our general government services is under budget by $89,000 at the time of this report, and this is projected to be on budget. Protective services is under budget by $84,300 at the time of this report and is projected on budget. Transportation services under budget by $96,000 at the time of this report and projected on budget. Environmental health under budget by $45,100 at the time of this report and projected on budget. Public health under budget by $12,000 at the time of this report, and this is projected on budget. Community services under budget by $61,000 at the time of this report and projected on budget. I'm keeping all the budget there just in case. Parks and cultural, same thing, under budget by $70,500 at the time of this report and projected to be on budget. South Okanagan emergency preparedness is on budget. Transfers of taxes, debt, and reserves, this is projected to be on budget, and most of the main transfers are as of August 1st to other governments. Capital expenditures is projected to be on budget. For our sewer fund and our water fund, we are projecting a zero surplus on either of these funds. Under the Sun Bowl Arena on the income statement, the revenues of $81,212.98 are up by $9,898 from 2014 at the same time. The revenues are all projected to be on budget. Expenditures are $339,730.15 and are $73,970.17 higher than 2014 at this time. This is also projected to be on budget. The additional expenditures were some significant capital expenditures that were done earlier in the year rather than later in the year. So basically, we've got a current deficit of $173,236 in our Sun Bowl Arena budget or income statement. The funding from the RDOS for the tax requisition comes in August, so we'll see that back into the surplus category. So the Sun Bowl Arena is projected to be on budget. So the recommendation for council is to receive the June 30th, 2015 income statements for the town of Osoyoos and Sun Bowl Arena.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zackel. I'm not sure how you get all these things on budget, but I know you do. They just seem to all fit, and I'm sure we have some questions. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just wanted to go back to the beginning and the solid waste management statistics that are in there. This is such a double-edged sword. That's why I always like to ask about it. So our revenues are up considerably there, but at the same time, what that means is we're filling the landfill up faster, which is the other side of the sword. Is there an explanation why it's up? I mean, that's about 12 or 13% over last year, and that's pretty significant.
Yeah, the volumes haven't changed. It's because we've increased the rates. Over the last couple of years, we were struggling to meet revenue targets, and over the last couple of years, we've increased our rates to adjust to that. So volumes haven't been going up, but the increase in revenues are finally matching our revenue targets.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, thank you. We need to that the income statements be received. Campbell, Rhodes, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zackel. Next is the general accounts, and we have the background is to report on expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information for council, general Sun Bowl Arena cash requirements and net payroll accounts. General cash requirements are $4,089,044.67. Sun Bowl cash requirements $16,463.45, and those will be adopted by consensus. And the net payroll accounts of $158,710.06 would be received for information. My assumption is, Mr. Romanko, that the reason that the general cash requirements are so high this month is that the taxes are collected and a lot of it has been given out to various it's been collected for various reasons.
Contrary to the thoughts of many people, we don't take all the tax money that comes to us. And we don't get paid administration fees for taking the tax money and then giving it to the school board or the province.
Okay. Thank you. Just so that people don't think that we're collecting that and putting it all in the bank. Okay. The building permits. We have the building permits for the month of, for last month were $64,000. Total to date is 2015 is $3,798,200, and total to date a year ago, 2014, is more than $2,678,000, so more than $1 million less last year. So we seem to be doing a little building this year. Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports today? I don't think so. All right. Could we ask for the CAO report, please?
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a few of the things that administration has been involved in over the last, actually, I guess over the last 6 weeks since we last met. My report is somewhat hampered by the fact that I've been on vacation the last couple of weeks, so it's a little thin. And starting in community services, Sun Bowl Arena has been busy right now. The Osoyoos Hockey School, the BC Amateur Referees Camp, and the Ring Ed Camp have either come and gone or to be happening. Just letting people know that there is public skating, drop-in hockey, and stick and puck, and they're all listed on the town's website. We received the Enabling Accessibility Grant of $40,000 from the Government of Canada, and we'll be working on selecting a new site for a new playground that will be for younger kids and handicapped children as well. So we'll be working on that and putting it out through to supplier through BC Bid. Cactus Kids Day Camp is winding down. We're averaging 30 to 35 kids daily, and the last day of camp is August 21st. A second family event was held at the Splash Park on Wednesday, August 12th. A huge thank you to AG Foods for providing food and refreshments at the barbecue. In terms of corporate services, they've been dealing with a lot of bylaw-related issues in the industrial park area relating to dust and noise and parking encroachments, which I guess were a highlight in the newspaper last week, but just let council know that we have been dealing with that issue on an ongoing basis. Water restriction exemption permits, a few of those have been going out for misting devices. Boat trailer parking permits, 95 of them have been sold to date, and those are the permits that we sell to people who are not staying in hotels, but they're visiting people here in town, and they would like to use the services of the boat trailer parking. And since the boat trailer parking is paid for through the Resort Municipality Initiative Fund, we charge them a small amount to park their boat and trailer there. So water conservation complaints, a number of people phoning and providing complaints about other people who are not following, so we're keeping track of those and passing them on to bylaw. Unsightly complaints, and it says here a lot of miscellaneous. In terms of emergency management, we had a debriefing of our fire department and other responses to the bus versus pickup accident that happened on Highway 3. In terms of our water conservation enforcement efforts, we've had 42 infractions, which included 4 warning tickets issued and 33 verbal warnings given. In terms of myself, just a couple things. Happy to inform Council that the Fire Hall and the 74th Avenue projects have gone to tender. So those are hopefully fall projects that we'll see that we'll be bringing back to Council for approval. In terms of water conservation, as noted at the last Council meeting, we're having limited success in the amount of water conservation as a result of water conservation enforcement. We're still seeing spikes on the nights that watering is allowed, which indicates that many people are watering beyond their lawn's needs on their allowed nights. This action does cause issues with our pumping into reservoir storage. The result is that in the event we had to fight a large fire on a sprinkling night, we may be hampered with our water supply. I encourage people to decrease their amount of water they are using on their legal sprinkling nights to ensure our firefighting capacity and assist in achieving water conservation goals. The town responded on Friday night with the opening of an emergency reception center for Kapula residents that needed support. 25 people registered and 8 stayed the night. We also provided sleeping accommodation for 19 firefighters that pulled in at 4 in the morning after a 10 or 12-hour shift. I'm also happy to announce the hiring of Jim Dinwoody as our new Director of Operations to replace retiring Ron Doucette. Jim comes to us from the city of St. Albert in Alberta, where he's currently Manager of Operations, Infrastructure, Roads and Sidewalks. He also has rural BC experience as Manager of Operations for the City of Nelson and Operations Supervisor with the City of Fernie. Jim will be starting with us on September 17th and working with Ron with about a two-week orientation period. So that's my report for today. Oh, one other thing, just to let people know that we have decreased our parks watering by 30%, and that's been in response to the recommendation provided by the Okanagan Basin Water Board. So our parks will see decreased watering over the next period of time.
Thank you very much. I need somebody to receive the report. King Roads, all in favor? Thank you. Council reports. Councillor King, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd really like to thank the fire department and all the fire resources, and especially all the volunteers that have gone up and above duty to keep our community safe in the surrounding area. I'd also like to congratulate the committee that runs Desert Park and having a great race day back on the 8th, and to see the people sitting in that grandstand was just phenomenal. And if you haven't been there yet, there is another race date coming up August 26th, and the view from that grandstand is just spectacular, looking over the lake. If you don't like the horses, look at the lake and enjoy the sunshine. And one other thing, as another comment, I've had the opportunity to go down to Gyro Park a couple of Fridays, and the great entertainment that committee's putting on, again, is just exceptional. And I'd really encourage people, if you have nothing to do possibly this Friday, is go to Gyro Park and watch the entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor King. Actually, Friday is the street dance. Saturday this week is the music in the park. The street dances, the two of them were scheduled for Friday, so music in the park changed to Saturday. So there's 2 nights you can go down there.
Thank you.
Councillor Youngberg.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Again, I would just like to commend, as I'm sure everybody in the entire area will, the extreme efforts that everybody in our community put forth to fight the fires and to help everybody in Oliver. And I'd just like to mention at this time that there are drop-off centers at McDonald Realty, at Lancia Tours, and Troy's Grill for anybody who has anything that would help the people in Rock Creek and Oliver, the people who have lost so many things, as well as the campers at Kettle Valley campsite. They have many of them completely ran away with nothing other than their selves and the clothes on their back. So we've tried to put together some replenishing of the Salvation Army and the Red Cross in Kelowna, who ran to everybody's rescue. And my cousins happened to be involved. Their home is in Westbridge, and at this point in time have never been back to see if it's still there. But they were treated absolutely fantastically by the Salvation Army and Red Cross in Midway at the emergency shelter. So if we can help those two organizations in any way, I know they will be down to collect items that people do have available in McDonald's or Lancia or Troy's Grill do have those contact numbers if anybody's interested. And I just have to read a little bit here that I got from the Friends of the Library. Their book sales are always really important to our Saturday market. And the Friends of the Library held their 7th annual book sale on Saturday, and rain was predicted, but it just turned a little cloudy, and of course it was quite smoke-free from my experience. And the Friends want to thank the town of Osoyoos, and especially Mayor McCordoff, and myself, Director Davis, and his staff for their assistance in making the event such a success. The annual book sale is a joint effort between the public, who generously donate all the books, DVDs, and CDs that are sold. The librarians, a small core of Friends of the Library who meet 3 or 4 times a year to sort and categorize the donated materials, and a dedicated group of friends and neighbors who volunteer for this event. This year there were 6 drivers and vehicles, 10 volunteers to set up tables, unload, display the books in 28 categories, sell the books, then they repack them, return the unsold materials to the storage at the end of the sale. And there were also 5 cashiers and 2 shifts with 4 additional duty helpers. So they made some money. And the result of the day was $1,392.25. That's raised for the library enhancement, which I think is a great opportunity to unload the books as well as make a little money to improve the services at our local library. Slightly more than 2014 and second highest amount since the event was created 7 years ago. So they have raised nearly $8,000 this year for the library. So again, I commend the Friends of the Library, and that is part of my portfolio, and I tend to try to help as much as I can in that area. Also, just a reminder to check your watering. We've got in my walks in the evening, I do see a few hoses running, sprinklers running. And the other thing I'd really like to make an appeal to is, if in fact we ever have these planes having to dip water on the lake, I just urge everybody to get out of their way. It was so evident last night at 7 o'clock. There are 2 boaters spinning around out in the middle of the lake. Just makes it impossible for these firefighters to do their job really efficiently, and I just appeal to everybody to try and cooperate with such a very tenuous situation for sure. And the horse races are August 22nd, which is Saturday, and again, we just thank all the taxpayers and everybody for the contribution of the funds to repair that grandstand. Everybody was delighted. They had so much fun, and 22nd we'll have more people there. I know we will. And we're hoping to get some global television coverage, and they're in the area and have agreed, and they're just waiting to send me a contact. So that'll be great. Another little spike for our beautiful little Osoyoos. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Well, I too would like to echo the previous 2 councils and commend and thank everyone involved in the firefighting, not only in our area here between Osoyoos and Oliver, but in the Rock Creek area as well. You know, it doesn't seem like much if you're not involved. You know, these kind of thoughts come and go and that kind of thing, but you know, it's a very, very high risk job. You know, they put their lives on the line. And I'm just always just absolutely blown away by every effort by every one of them. And you know, one of the benefits of living in a small community, every one of us knows somebody that's been impacted either in Rock Creek or in our immediate area here. So, you know, once again, you know, heartfelt sentiments go out to the people that have lost. I think the last count there was 30 homes that were lost in the Rock Creek area. It's absolutely devastating, and but I'm really confident that everything is being done to mitigate it and kind of lessen the impact for everybody. So thank you very much. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the color brown, and as you look out your front window or your back window, I'm hoping that that's the color of what used to be your green grass. And also thank you very, very much for, first off, being aware of water conservation. Secondly, that you care about water conservation. And thirdly, and probably most important, that you are informed and you've taken the time to see the importance of water conservation in our community. Those of us that look out of our front door or our back door or our windows and you see green in the way of grass and the way that you think it should be, well, the opposite sentiment goes out to you as well. And I would ask that you become aware and informed and that you care about water conservation in our community and realize how important it is that these water conservation techniques that we're using right now, that we have labeled restrictions, are all about the need of our community and not about a bunch of people trying to step down on other people and make things look bad. This is a genuine problem. Everybody in our community should be concerned, and it's just something that we need to do and make it part of our lives for the immediate future and hopefully the long term. One more thing along that line, CAO Romanko brought up the spiking problem on the days that you can water. And I just wanted to really, really emphasize the importance. If we were to have a major fire in our community at that time where the water usage is spiking, it could be a very, very serious problem where our fighters would go out to fight the fire and not have any water to do it, or at least minimize the impact that they could have if there was fall. And, getting back to grass, really there's no sense in increasing the watering time on your grass. If you are still at the point where you think you need to water your grass, follow the same patterns that you used to do when we did not have these water conservation techniques in effect. It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the way it is, and I would certainly encourage everybody to get on board with what's been set in front of us. And the last thing I'd like to mention is Councillor King brought up, the Music in the Park thing that we've been having on Friday nights. I'm a huge music fan, and I see the benefit of music events in our community, and I'd like to just pause for another minute and turn over to my right and thank Councillor Campo. I know some of his private initiatives have been revolving around bringing different music events to our community, and so thanks a lot, Mike. I do that because I have several friends that attended some of these, and they just go, boy, how nice is it to have music events that you can attend, and they specifically mentioned some of the ones that Mike was involved in, so thanks a lot, Mike. I really appreciate you doing that. These music events, I hope they continue for the future. I hope there's more of them because they really, really do benefit, and it gives some people things to do in some of our parks and areas around our town.
Thank you very much. A lot of good points there. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you. As all of my fellow councillors have alluded to, obviously absolutely blown away and thankful to everybody that helped keep us safe and continue to help keep us safe with the fires around us. I've been known to get frustrated with social media in the past, but something happened Friday night. It started Friday during the day where I watched communication happen through social media. So it started with people in Rock Creek that were away from their homes while these evacuations were starting, and pleading with the public to open gates, let wildlife out, things like that. That was pretty neat, but what followed was absolutely incredible, which was the response was unreal. The amount of people that responded to help out, and then outside of that, people started responding with horse carriers and haulers and going above and beyond from different communities in ways to help out. You know, it was mesmerizing watching Twitter and Facebook and other social media avenues over the weekend for a couple of reasons. You know, if we didn't have that outlet, I'd hate to think about the wildlife situation and some of the things that could have happened up in Rock Creek, and a lot of which were avoided. But the organizing was the part that was really incredible, and how quickly it happened, from drop-off for essential needs, and just members of this community, and not a few, so many members of this community coming together to organize quickly, to be able to impact the situation quickly and ongoing, was, you know, it makes you incredibly proud of where you are and where you live and the people around you. So it's not even a thank you. It's just, you know, it just says everything about this community, and I just wanted to say that. You know, and one more thing with the social media, I visited a friend on Saturday at his winery, who was evacuated, and it was certainly looking like that winery could be lost. The proprietor of that winery had sort of given up and went to the edge of the property, and so some people know the story, brought his tablet with him and saw this outpouring of support on his social media feeds for what was happening here and within his winery. It became less about the winery at that point. It was, he couldn't believe where these messages were coming from, which was all over the world from people that had visited his winery, and realizing that it was an experience that they had here. And it brought this man to tears, and it was just an amazing thing to hear about. So, and the last thing I just want to say on a lighter note is a shout out to our local artists who set up the family of quails out in front of the art gallery there. Very cool, it looks amazing. So thank you for taking that initiative.
Thank you. Well, I'm not sure where to begin, because most of the things that I was going to say on my list here have been covered. So thank you very much to the rest of council. A couple of things that, as people were talking, one, if you have a brown lawn and you would like it greener, there is paint that you can spray on it, and that was mentioned at the drought response workshop last week. So it's not just somebody's
They have stuff
weird.
like that for your hair too, don't
Yes,
they?
I think you need some. Also, the drought workshop, which I attended, and I have the agenda here, was most interesting. There were remarks from various people on drought planning, the provincial response, the public safety and protection from Penticton, the IJC for Lake Osoyoos International Joint Commission. Somebody talked. Richard Busanich from the ONA Fisheries, Agriculture, Cattlemen's Association, and interesting that Lee Hesketh, his name was from the Cattlemen's Association, he said one of the best things that we can do, and we probably all should be looking at this provincially, is to create more water storage. And that kind of made sense, and I know that we've just done a new storage facility here up on the hill, so those things are important to consider. Best practices, I was very interested in this. There was two ladies from Vancouver. One is the water shortage response, or the water quality and conservation manager, and the other one was the communications director. And what they said was lessons learned, because you know in Vancouver that they have no watering at all, but they have had some rain, so I'm sure that's helped. But what they were quite interesting to listen to, and what they said was that leadership is key. In other words, you know, they made sure that all of the parks and playgrounds and stuff in Vancouver were on water restrictions before they asked the rest of public to do it. Effective enforcement, I mean, and that's difficult to do because they had lots of people phoning city hall and saying so-and-so's watering too much and that type of thing. And what they said was that you couldn't enforce all the problems, you kind of had to pick and choose, and you must witness the infraction before you can enforce it. So that's something. But positive messaging was good, and I know that in Penticton, they have some very positive signs up saying why it's important to cut down, and I thought that was interesting. I don't remember exactly what they said, but positive messaging is important. A coordination and a unified approach, which I think this Okanagan Basin Water Board has done, has brought everybody together and sort of given them some ideas, and a communication plan, and I think everybody sort of needs that. So that was a very interesting workshop that I was at. I also want to say concerning the fire, I was at a media event yesterday in Oliver, and Premier Clark was there, and Minister Thompson and MLA Larson, and they had come up from Vancouver, landed at the Oliver Airport, taken a helicopter around to view what was happening in Testalinda Fire and north of Oliver at the Wilson Mountain Fire. Plus, they'd gone over to Karameas and had a look at that. Anarchist on the way, and went to Midway and then back to Oliver to thank all the volunteers. And one of the things that that Premier Clark said was when they landed in Oliver at the airport, they saw all these planes and crews that were grounded. And she said, "Why aren't you up in the air?" And they said there was a drone that had been flying around. So for 4 or 5 hours, they were kept on the ground because they couldn't take a chance that there might be a problem. So not only boats on the lake, when I saw that there was a picture on social media about that, but so that keep out of the way where planes are taking off, but also please, you know, use some common sense and don't use drones in those areas where you're going to put people's homes and planes and the public at risk. The other thing that I just wanted to say about watering is that what we all need to do is be really sensible about it, how we use water. We can do with less for sure. And watering in the middle of the day, I don't care where you are, when the sun is up, most of it's going up in the air. So pick and choose and try and water in the early morning or in the evening, and just thinking about it is a good thing. A couple of things that I've been at for the last month since we had a meeting. I went to the lawn bowling family night down at the Lawn Bowling Association, and it was fun. We all got to do some fun activities, and there were quite a few young kids there as well, and they gave out some prizes, and I got to cut the cake, so it was fun. I've also been helping at the horse races. Councillor Youngberg sort of got me involved in this a couple years ago, so I don't know what the horses, whether any of them ran or anything. I was inside running the machine, so I don't see any of that part. But I understand we had a good crowd, and it will happen again on Saturday, so please come out and enjoy that. I was also at Romancing the Desert. I had to run home, quickly change after the horse racing, get into another outfit and go out to there. And that was a very nice event as well, and it's raising money for the Desert Center, and we're happy to do that. And speaking of the Desert Center, last week the provincial government put out a proposal for a national park down here. And it includes the Desert Center, Spotted Lake, the Grasslands Provincial Park, several areas. So we're going to have a good look at it, and we encourage anybody who would like to respond to it. You probably see it on the government website. I'm not sure whether we have that on our website or not, but it would certainly be available. Please respond. You have 60 days to do that, and we're just happy from Osoyoos' point of view to see that is back on the table. Music in the park has been great fun. I've been down at all of them except the one night I was in Vancouver, and the Naden Band played one night, and they were fantastic. And we had water bottles that the town of Osoyoos had ordered, and it said Osoyoos on them, and we gave them all the Naden band, because we didn't pay them, a water bottle, and they were quite happy with that. Somebody, Cliff, I think, had got them some wine too, and so that made their trip worthwhile for sure. Yeah. So we enjoyed that. There was a curling bonspiel on last weekend. I know Councillor Youngberg did not win first prize in this one, but I'm sure she had a good time.
Oh, well.
And Friends of the Library was on Saturday morning. It's a once a year event, and I'm just delighted that.
Thank Michael and Vera.
Yes, Michael and Vera Ryan have. It's in 7 years. They started it. Michael and Vera started the Friends of the Library when Michael was on the library board, and they've done an excellent job. And there was lots of people out there enjoying buying the book. So I'm glad that they made a good profit from that. So I think that's all that we have to say for today. And thank you to the media that are here, madly taking notes on everything that we've said, and thank you to Val for always being here and putting this on channel 10. Yeah, it's 10 now. And so what we need is a motion to adjourn the meeting, please. The two on my left. All in favor? Thank you very much, everyone.
That's cute.